Where you go? Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown. Now, my regular co-host, Mark Hunt, is off today, but of course, we have Patty Cohen of Pacific Union International here. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate, which is worth about $100, given away during this show. And the certificates are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tan Bella Tanning Salon with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. Our trivia theme is general trivia. And we do have a special guest today, Shanae Mabry from Old Republic Title Exchange, or how do you?
Old Republic Exchange.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. And why don't you give the audience, most of our audience is fairly sophisticated, but, for those who aren't, why don't you give a little background on 1031?
Sure. So when someone is looking to sell investment property or property that they have held for productive use in their trade or business, they can structure that sale as a 1031 exchange, which allows them to defer having to pay the capital gains tax, which if they're selling in California, they're looking at paying anywhere between 25 upwards of 42% in taxes. So it can be a huge savings for
Because it's not just federal, it's California also.
Correct.
And I remembered, hearing that they were thinking about getting rid of it.
Yeah, I still have a job.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful tool.
Yeah.
So many people use it.
I know. I remember when there was another person who used to work for Old Republic Exchange, and she was explaining that it'd be amazing how many jobs would be affected.
Oh, it was significant.
Yeah.
There was a study done by Ernst & Young that talked specifically about
Ernst & Young, yes, a good friend. CPA firm. Yes.
they talked specifically about the negative impact that it would have on not just the real estate community, but just the economy as a whole, and it was substantial. So we're really glad that 1031 exchanges overall was preserved.
I mean, I can imagine people who have a large gain built into their property, if they find that they would have to pay a lot of taxes, they may say, no, it may just not be worth selling the property and paying all those taxes. I'll just keep it,
Yeah.
which would then not give the government tax money anyway, temporarily. And then also the real estate agents wouldn't be doing the buying or the selling, and the
Right.
title companies wouldn't get the business, and then,
It's a trickle down.
oh, it is a trickle. Yeah. Then you also have banks affected and appraisers. I mean, it's amazing.
It's a lot. And a lot of people paying a lot of taxes or not selling. I mean, because some people just say, I'm going to just sell. And then the government gets a chunk of change.
Now, if they were to lower the capital gains tax rate a tremendous amount, that might not be good for your business, though, right?
Well, it's interesting. You have some people who just say, I don't want to give the government $1.
That's how it usually is.
So
That's a good point.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. Well, I know. I always try to, legally just push off as much taxes as possible.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I always refer to a 1031 exchange as an interest-free loan from the government.
That's true.
You don't pay it until you're ready to pay it.
Yeah, that's right, because there's no interest or penalties on it. It's deferred.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a very good point. Let's see, we've got a couple of minutes here. So how does the new tax laws affect 1031, if at all?
So with the new tax law, what they did is what they were wanting to do was eliminate 1031 exchanges altogether. And we really fought back and pushed back, and thank you to all of those in the real estate community that fought for that and for the preservation of 1031 exchanges. So with the new law, what they've done is they have eliminated personal property exchanges. So this is more common if someone were looking to sell a business, maybe has a restaurateur who wanted to sell both the real property itself and the business. They might be selling the liquor license or things of that nature. And before, they could structure the sale of the business and all of the personal property through a 1031 exchange. So with the new tax law, they have eliminated all personal property exchanges. So it's just real property.
I wonder how they're structuring it now. Are they pushing more of it into the real property part? I don't know.
It's tricky stuff.
It
But
is.
then you also have the transfer tax, which I don't know if is there transfer tax on businesses? It's good, probably. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't believe there's transfer tax on the sale of personal property like the
property,
business,
yeah.
but there is a transfer tax that's assessed on real property.
Because it was like sales tax, you know, if I sell my car to you and you sell the car to, you know, the
Exactly.
government keeps dipping in every time that they can. It's kind of crazy. Okay, tell you what, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. Before we do, Jeff Lorman is having a symposium. He is a super lawyer, as they say, a real estate attorney. It says here, if you're a commercial real estate investor, syndicator, broker, contractor, property manager, or anyone else involved in commercial real estate, you need to attend the 5th annual Commercial Real Estate Update Trends and Networking Symposium. And I've been to a few of these, and they're packed full of information. And it'll talk about the new laws, blockchain, rising construction prices, rising interest rates, and the list goes on. So check out realestateinvestorlaw.com. But for the 4 lucky people, we have been given 4 free tickets to this full-day education, which each ticket's worth $125. So if you want a free ticket, we're going to take the first 4 callers if you say free ticket, and we'll figure out how to get it to you. 888-912-1190. All right, now we're going to cut to our first commercial break. Trivia question. It is, what spice is considered the most expensive one by weight? Call 888-912-1190. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
I love it. I have first. Saffron, right?
Yeah. Good idea to
I
throw
was
someone
on the
easy
roll
one.
of not knowing anything.
Well, I don't go into the kitchen. So
Your husband cook?
he does. You know, the last time I spent any time in the kitchen, which was in October, I broke my toe. I ran
Ooh.
right into the wall. So that's when I realized the kitchen is not where I belong.
It's not your friend?
It's not my friend.
You got this. Yep.
That's right. This is on March 17th. So this is actually going to play 3 times. On March 17th at noon,
Oh, wow.
March 18th at 7 a.m. on the same station, and then also on KTRB 860 the answer.
Oh, wow.
That's 7 a.m. Yeah.
That's wow, that's unusual, right?
No, they've been giving us these extra time slots, which is
Oh.
good.
Wonder why. I mean, things are slow.
Maybe they just haven't filled the slot yet.
Yeah,
So
right.
they like us.
They gotta have
You
something.
gotta have something.
Yeah.
You can't have dead air.
And you're so charming, they
Yeah.
put you in there.
So your lucky listeners will get to hear us 3 times.
That's right.
So lucky.
Okay. So we'll continue on with a few more of these questions, and then we'll head on over to Patty. Okay, ready? Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Patty Cohen of Pacific Union International. First trivia question: what spice is often considered the most expensive one by weight? Patty, you know the answer.
Saffron.
Saffron. That is correct. Apparently, a little tiny bit is like $10,000 an ounce, but it's so light,
Yeah.
and only a little bit makes the whole paella.
Exactly. And most of it comes from Iran, too.
Iran? Oh, I thought it was India.
Iran.
Iran. There you go. That's our next trivia question.
Thank you.
No. Okay, so we have a special guest, Shanae Mabry from Old Republic Exchange. So you told us in the last segment, personal property does not qualify, like
Correct.
tractors or businesses. So what qualifies would be just real property?
So all real property that's held for investment purposes or for productive use in their trade or business.
Does land?
Land does qualify.
That didn't used to, did it?
It does.
Oh, it's always been?
It's still real property. Now, the challenge is that when someone exchanges out of a property with a depreciable asset, maybe like a building or a home on it, and they exchange into bare land, well, land is a non-depreciable asset.
Correct.
So by exchanging into the bare land, they might be subject to some depreciation recapture.
Oh, they don't just take the new basis and put it into the land as whatever that low basis is?
Right, because
Oh.
you've got, look at it this way. If you have someone who maybe has taken $200,000 of depreciation on their real property and then they're going to exchange into bare land, which is non-depreciable, well, they've got $200,000 that they now have to recapture in taxes.
Interesting. Okay, I would have thought that the basis in the new land purchase would have just been 200,000 lower. But they make you recapture that. So if you go into a building of the same value, then you just
carry forward that basis, no problem
Yeah,
there.
that's kind of weird. It's kind of a little penalty, isn't it?
The government giveth and it taketh.
And it sure taketh away more than it giveth, that's for sure. And then what are some of the common pitfalls that you see in an exchange?
You know, it's really interesting. A lot of times when buyers are doing their due diligence inspections on a property and they're buying from a seller who is looking to exchange, when there are repair items that come up as a result of the inspection report, the buyer's going to typically go back to the seller and ask for credit for all of those repairs. Well, credits for repair items are a non-exchange related expense. So
Is that considered boot?
that's boots,
Boot,
baby. So, or as my assistant calls it, bootleg.
Bootleg. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, those credits on a closing statement could be taxable to an exchanger. So it's always a little bit of a gray area. And if they have the ability to just do a price reduction.
Price reduction is the way to go always.
Yeah. And it works for the benefit of not only the exchanger, but also for the buyer because their tax basis is going to be based on.
Property tax basis, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
we usually do price reductions these days. And a lot of times the lender can only do 3% anyway, for credit.
Right.
Yeah, so. It's easy.
Otherwise, they have to figure out their number.
Well, you just don't get that much back. Sorry, buyer.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
And then when should someone contact you to handle their exchange?
So I always prefer, if at all possible, to speak with someone when they're in the planning stages. You know, if I could even get them before they have their property listed, if possible, that's really ideal because then what I can do is work with them, plan out strategies for success of their exchange transaction. As long as the exchange is set up before they close on the sale of their property, they're just fine. So even if they were to contact us, the day before closing, or we often get the calls, we're signing right now, and we just saw that withholding amount to the state of California. We now want to exchange. We can still set it up.
Well, okay, and then from a timing standpoint of the rules, 180 days, or you have to identify, and how many can you identify and all that fun stuff?
Sure. So from the date of closing on the property sold, they'll actually have 45 days to identify a replacement property. Now, when you're in the middle of an exchange, 45 days will feel like 45 seconds.
It's really not a lot of time. You gotta do your homework.
Yeah, you've got to do your homework. You really want to be proactive in locating and securing a replacement property. And
I was gonna say, how many? I mean, are you allowed to choose 50 of them and then figure out the one that you want to pinpoint?
well, there's two rules of identification that's commonly used. The first rule is known as the 3 property rule, and this allows for someone to identify up to 3 replacement properties of any valuation. So with that, they can identify just 1 or as many as 3, and there's no dollar restriction as to the valuation of each property identified.
And what happens when they look at due diligence and all 3 properties don't match what they want?
Well, as long as they're within the 45-day period, they can revoke that identification notice and name 3 new properties. But once they go beyond the 45
It's over.
days,
Then you don't do an exchange. You have to do one of those. So the idea of, sorry to interrupt you, but the idea of it's like this false hope, thinking you've really got 180 days. Like you have 45 days, and like Shanae says, it goes very fast.
Sure.
And at the end of those 40, most people wait till the 45 days and identify. But if you don't close on one of them, it's over. You don't do an exchange.
you're paying taxes.
Yeah.
Now, the second rule of identification is used if someone's looking to identify and purchase maybe multiple properties of lesser value, which says they can identify 4 or more properties, but the aggregate value of all properties identified could not exceed 200% of the value of the property
Okay, I
sold.
understand. And then what is a reverse exchange? Because I've heard that term.
So reverse exchange, we're seeing a little bit more commonly right now in the current marketplace. And this is where someone is going to buy a replacement property before they complete the sale of the property they're intending to sell. This works great if you're dealing with clients who are cash buyers, who have the ability to buy that new property
Yeah,
without
because a lot of
obtaining
people, I was
financing.
gonna say, because a lot of people may not be able to qualify for the new one until they sell the old one.
Right.
And that's where Pacific Private Money can come in and help,
Yes.
like we've done with personal residences, which are different than exchanges, but the same sort of thing, where they come in and they provide the loan for the purchase, and then eventually, then the 45-day issue is irrelevant, right? Because
Yeah, it's a moot point at that point. But what I'll tell you is that if they have maybe a primary residence that they can secure the loan against,
Mhm.
from our standpoint, they're buying all cash. So
No,
they'd be
no,
a great
true.
candidate for a reverse exchange.
True. In some cases, maybe the commercial properties are just too large in value compared to their house, and so they'd still need, private financing if they don't qualify from the bank. But I understand that what you're talking about on that end. Well, I tell you, this time goes really fast. What's going on here? We're gonna cut to another commercial break, and before we do have a little mention here. Now, this one is for the symphony. We love the San Francisco Symphony. Experience Mahler's glorious Fifth Symphony, conducted by Michael Tilson Thomas, starting March 22nd through March 25th at Davies Symphony Hall. And on April 26th, Holst's Orchestral Suite, The Plants. Take a peek behind the scenes and experience a San Francisco Symphony performance in the making, beginning at 8:30 a.m. with coffee and donuts. It's kind of cool. You actually get to see how it all comes together. For that, you can go to www.sfsymphony.org for more details. Okay, so here's our second trivia question. Patty, so far you're 1 for 1.
Yeah.
In what arcade game did the player attempt to avoid vehicle traffic, and crocodiles? So there was an old, not pinball, but it was an old arcade game. Do you know this one?
No, but I've seen the game.
All right.
I've seen the icons.
888-912-1190. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Do you know what it is? Well, obviously I know what it is. I don't remember. I don't remember.
You know what it is?
No, I'm.
If I say it, you'll
It
probably
was like the
remember.
Pac-Man era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pac-Man era,
Hey, swamp something?
Got me there.
See, we always, this is like perfect. This is what I want, like the audience to go, oh, you know it.
Yeah.
They won't channel surf,
Yeah.
and they'll stay with us, which is why we have a long time people listening, for a long time. People don't.
That's really good.
They may channel surf on Rush Limbaugh, but they don't channel surf the rest of it.
That's right.
One of the things that, one of the really misconceptions about 1031 exchange that I get a lot of questions about, people think like if you're selling a condo, you have to buy a condo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's get into that.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
Why don't you,
Yeah.
Why don't you
Because
ask?
1031 is fascinating. There's a lot to it. And there's a lot of things people don't understand.
There's a lot of nuances.
And
So they want
there
to
is.
work with an expert.
But they have to. I mean, it's very complicated. It really is. I mean, the concept is very simple, but all the little nuances like the 200% and all of it, and this like feeling that you have 6 months, you really don't have 6 months.
Yeah. The first 45 days are really the most critical.
I know. It's everything. And yeah, who closes in 6 months later? It's going to close.
Yeah. They should give you longer this period and a shorter this period.
I know. I don't know how that came about, but
Well, in a
Yeah.
short-term market, or when there were all the short sales, 6 months didn't seem like it was enough time.
yeah. I mean, but it's been like that.
That's
like,
true.
For
Short sales, yeah.
decades.
The short sales,
Way
yeah.
before short sales. It's always been like that. It never made sense to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
very. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Patty Cohen from Pacific Union International, as Marcon is off today. Second trivia question. In what arcade game did the player attempt to avoid vehicle traffic and crocodiles? Remember you had to go from log to log?
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of that
I
arcade
see
game?
the whole thing.
Yeah. In fact, it was even in a Seinfeld episode.
Uh-huh.
Frogger.
Oh, Frogger. I
remember?
wouldn't have gotten that.
Wouldn't have gotten
I
that
just
one?
know that.
Okay, so we are in the studio here with one of our favorite 1031 Exchange. No, you are our favorite 1031 Exchange. Shanae Mabry of Old Republic Exchange. And Pat, you want to ask a question?
Well, the question I get a lot, and Shanae can speak to it for sure, is there's a lot of misconceptions about 1031 exchanges. And sometimes people think that you have to sell, like kind. What does that mean? They think if you have a condo, you have to buy another condo. Not true. And another thing, and you can talk to that as well. Another thing, I got a question literally yesterday, thinking that they were going to really kind of flip a house. So they're selling a building and they were going to be buying a house, but that house was going to be something that they turned over and kind of like renovated and flipped. And it's like, you've got to be showing income. You have to show income.
Yeah. Not a personal residence.
Yeah. I mean, even if the person's going to be living there for a little bit of time, like a year or something, but you need to have somebody rent it, right?
Well, a couple of things is that first, when you're dealing with a like-kind property, that's probably one of the most commonly misunderstood terms. And what it simply means is that if you are selling real property, you just need to buy real property. So you can go from a single-family home to a commercial building or a multi-family property, as long as it's going to be held for investment purposes or for productive use in the trade or business, it will qualify. Now, as far as buying and reselling properties and flipping them, the IRS actually says that a property that's acquired strictly for the purpose of resale does not qualify to be exchanged. Now, this is more common when you're dealing with these flip type properties. And so what the IRS does is they actually have the ability to look at, what is the trade of the exchanger? Do they flip properties? For income? Is that their ordinary course of business? Because if it is, they might be precluded from being able to exchange.
Right.
Is the first thing. The second thing is that if they're buying these properties, let's say they had a long-term hold on the property they sold and then are looking to buy a flip property. Well, if they're buying it strictly for the intent to resell it, it does not qualify. Or if they're buying it with the intent to utilize it for personal use, it won't qualify.
Right. I mean, everybody knows that, but at the same time, what they do, and the question I get all the time, and it's like, you got to talk to your accountant, because there is nothing, no clear cut. I've heard 1 year, I've heard 2 years, but okay, I've had this rental for a long time. Now I want to find my dream house to retire in. How long do I have to rent it? It's not even a legitimate question, really, because that's not your intent.
Well, there is a 2 out of 5 year rule. Right.
That's a different thing.
That's different.
Yeah. But what if you've got a, fourplex that you've had for 30 years, and then you want to go into your dream home and retire? How long am I supposed to hold that and rent? How long am I supposed to rent that? And it's like, you're not even supposed to have that intention. Right.
Yeah,
so,
and
I've heard from, and I said, you can talk to 3 or 4 different accountants and get different answers. And some people say a year, some people say 2 years.
I mean, I would think if you're at least a year of renting it and then you move in, or you've had a full year's tax return cycle, I would think you'd be okay.
Yeah. But we can't answer, and neither can your accountant really. But that's the answer.
So that's why there's tax court cases.
Yeah.
Because they always have challenges on that.
Well, you also have to think about it this way. The IRS and the Franchise Tax Board have the ability to look at the facts and circumstances surrounding the exchange or your intent to acquire the property. I had a client where, they had that intent where they were going to exchange into a property that they eventually could see themselves living in and retiring in. And, I tried to stress to them, you want to make sure that your intent is demonstrated to acquire the property for investment.
Yep.
Well, lo and behold, we get a copy of the purchase contract from the title company.
Oh, they checked the wrong box.
No, it wasn't the box. They wrote a letter to the seller telling them it was their dream home. They were buying it through an exchange, and they were going to rent it out for 2 years. And after 2 years, evict the tenants and move into it.
That is just so stupid. Let's just let me just map out in writing what is how you're going to mail me.
Oops.
Yeah. Oops.
No, I mean, and also I can tell you, speaking of other lies, what people do a lot is have full intentions of having a 1031 exchange and renting that property out for a long time. And then the lie they tell the sellers with that beautiful letter and the cookies that they bake them, we're going to live here forever. It's our dream home. But that's a different kind of lie, not really about 1031 exchanges, but it's a lie. It's one of those lies.
Well, that kind of lie doesn't give you much. It doesn't get you in trouble per se, but if you do that on a loan application, then you can get in trouble. Or the 1031 exchange, you can get in trouble.
Well, right, and also on the box on the purchase agreement that you just told your seller that they're going to love it, but they check that they're not going to occupy. Well,
I love it as a rental.
I know.
That's not a lie.
Exactly.
I would just love to rent this out to everyone.
Yeah. So if someone's doing a 1031 exchange, make sure you tell your realtor so you don't check the box that's going to say you're owner occupied, because that will blow your whole 1031 exchange.
Right.
Boy, Patty, it's like you know something about real estate.
Almost 30 years will do it. Yeah.
So Shanae, how do people get a hold of you if they have more questions?
So my phone number, it's 888-677-1031.
Is that a coincidence at 1031?
Oh, we planned it.
Of course, of course. Okay. Stick around because we're going to talk more real estate here with Patty. So Patty, there are a couple of questions come in. One is, why is there continued low inventory?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so, let's just say for sure, for decades in the Bay Area, but more than ever now and in the last 6 years, we've had low inventory. And in fact, it's our 70th month of being out of the recession, which is almost 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and with that comes low inventory. So why? Okay, so one is that baby boomers really aren't moving.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, net, this is a great place to live, the Bay Area. So when it gets time to retire, which the baby boomers are doing, they start thinking about where are we going to go? Arizona's too hot. You can Southern California, kind of the same. Hawaii, back east. People stay. So that's number one reason for the low inventory. The other is Prop 13. So not only do I love living here and where am I going to go, but my property tax base is really low.
Now they're thinking about changing it so you can take your tax base over to a different county.
Well, that's been Prop 60 and Prop 90. Prop
Okay.
90 was literally the last time they did it, which is 1990. And that says that if you're over 55, you can keep your property tax low. However, there's only 10 reciprocal counties in the whole state where you can take your tax base and go somewhere else.
And that's assuming you have a low tax base. I mean, I bought my house at the height of 2006.
Yeah.
So it don't do me no good.
Yeah, it's true. But if you think about it, all these people with the low inventory, they're the ones that came out with their GI Bill in the 1960s.
Oh, yeah,
As a
those
young
people,
couple
sure.
starting a family. They bought their house for $37,000 or
Yeah.
$19,000,
Yeah.
and they have really low tax brackets and basics, and
Basics,
they have lived there for decades. So why are they not moving? Because with the reciprocal counties, the counties where first of all, if you want to stay in the county you're in, you have to buy something for this less than what you're buying.
Yeah.
So most of those people in that generation, they're living in a ranch house that's maybe worth $1.5 million, but it's an entry level house, and they haven't updated it, and it's 1,500 square feet.
That's right. Wow. Okay, when we come back, we don't have time for the last trivia question. We're going to ask that next time because we have another commercial break. Don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing. We'll be right back.
Yeah, and I can give you a couple more other reasons too, and which all leads into how are things going in the market right now. But yeah, people generally don't move. It's because they've got tax brackets. They like where they live. Where are you going to go? And it's a world class destination.
So, get this. My next door neighbor, the husband passed on a few months ago, and the wife lived there. And I said, hey, I had heard through the grapevine she was going to move. I said, well, what do you do? Just, give me a call. I want to buy for my son.
Yeah.
But she said, well, let me talk to my son. So I talked to the son and said, no, just you'll see it when it comes on the market.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's a sign now.
I haven't seen it come up yet.
It just came up like today. So they had a broker's open today.
Why did I not see that? How much is it?
They're asking like either $1,495,000, but when you go in, at first you look and you go, wow, $1,400,000, that's pretty cheap for that area.
Yep.
But it's 2,200 square feet.
Shag carpet.
Oh, well, no, you have to. I mean, it hasn't been touched in 50 years. I mean, there's maybe
That's
one.
my point about
One small thing is probably like okay, but the rest of it, I mean, I think it'll need at least 500,000 myself, and that's just but that's about 500,000 for the inside. You go to the outside, and they have a pool, but you can see the bricks coming. I mean, I don't know what the foundation issues are going on with that. I mean, that's a scary thing. And then there's a retaining wall.
That's several $100,000.
I've got a great lender for you.
Well, I asked a realtor. She was Sotheby's. Julie something.
Oh, Julie Lights maybe? Or no, Julie.
Yeah. I have to look at what you can see it. I said, what do you think this thing would rent for in today's market?
As is.
She said $5,000 a month.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Do you think that's a lot or a little?
I thought that's a lot.
It's not. It's not.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And that's my point. That's the profile of why we have low inventory, because they've been there for decades. They've done nothing to their house. And what happened? They died. They didn't move, they died. And often what happens when they die is those kids that have been like had to leave the county are finally being able to buy something.
Yeah.
Like you were up here,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people your age just haven't been able to buy anything.
No.
And they're in
Sure.
Sonoma County or whatever. But and some people don't want to come back and they sell it like they did. But that's why we have low inventory.
Yeah.
All those years she may have thought about selling, but it really
No, again, that's
Where are you gonna go?
like in a home or something, close to the kids. But,
Yeah. Oh, I thought she died. Oh, the husband died, excuse me.
Yeah,
But still, that's what happens often. And that's why one of the reasons we have low inventory.
but now it's up for sale, and so you kind of look and you go. I mean, we always had this dream about our kids. You know, well, Christian just came back from Southern California, but he's now in Sunnyvale. He's just got a job there. That's too far, right?
Oh, God, no.
We're going, okay, well, so if you don't do anything to it and rent it for $5,000 a month, if you could.
To buy it for
makes
1.5?
sense.
No.
No, I mean,
No.
that's a 4 cap gross, and the expenses you have on it.
Yes.
You're talking about it too. I mean, it's just.
Too tempting. It's an emotional buy. Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, I don't know what it's really worth.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to come out at a higher value, but I didn't see it inside before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you ready? We'll continue on with you
Okay.
there, and then feel free to jump in and make a little announcement for Mark. Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Patty Cohen and our special guest, Shanae Mabry. Let's see. We didn't ask a trivia question. We're going to ask that next time. Patty, we did get another question now. It says, with interest rates possibly going up, how do you think the real estate market will react?
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently, supposedly, I should say, rates are going to go up 4 times this year. I have no idea. But rates, of course, we all know when rates go up, prices go down. So how is that going to work? We've got a really good job market. We still have continued low inventory. And it's still a world-class destination where at one point, 40% of the properties were bought with cash.
Yeah.
So it's not as much as it was. But so how will that affect it? It's hard to know. It will affect it somewhat because we have the tax law changes where you can only go up to $10,000 in property taxes, and you can only go up to $750 in your mortgage. So maybe it's just one more clink in the whole mix where you go down to that bottom line number and say no. But what are you really saying no to? Because it's residential real estate. You need to buy something. You need to live somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how much it will affect the choices. Like, is it buy or not buy at all, or buy something lower priced? But it won't be that much lower. So it will affect us. And then they'll be inching up, and it's like how to cook a frog. You don't throw them in that boiling water. You just do it gently, 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 gently. You're just used to the rate.
You just like the frog after the frog question, right?
I know.
Well, okay, so another question came in, and we were going to ask Shanae, but I think this is more of your alley. It says, I'm a realtor in Marin. With all the unique topography, it seems I always come across property boundary and easement issues. Is this common?
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, and if you think about it, I mean, we've got some, in the entire Bay Area, we've got really, really old neighborhoods, like new subdivisions all over the sprawling country with suburbs. You don't have those kind of issues. But I've seen neighborhoods where the entire block was off 3 feet. Right? And this actually happened in Shady Lane and Ross. So, you know, these are small lots and $3 million houses. And that 3 feet along the whole boundary is a lot of cha-ching. That's a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's kind of like some people go, yeah, we always kind of knew that and we've all gotten along and nobody sold. Well, the person that just spent, you know, $3 million for that house, they do care. And they're going to move their fence 3 feet over into what you thought was your property. And so does that happen? It's a big deal. And very rarely do people get surveys too. So surveys are kind of expensive and, you know, so that's where things come up. But it really does come up when there are setbacks of like the creek. The creek setbacks are now 100 feet in the back.
That's ridiculous. To me, that's kind of
ridiculous. Because those salmon are gold or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you've got
100 feet is that. I mean, 100 feet. That's a lot of feet.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so if you're going, let's say you're going for a variance and your property is only 50 feet wide and you've got a 10-foot setback on each side, it kind of matters where that 3 feet is off on this
No, it really does matter.
If we're 5 feet off on the neighbor, you're gonna take that.
Yeah.
And it also comes up a lot of times with, where you're gonna put pools and fences
Yeah,
and things like that, and it matters.
Absolutely. Patty, how did people get a hold of you for more information?
Well, I'm Patty Cohn with Pacific Union International, and my phone number is 415-722-4842. And you can also look me up at bestmarinagent.com.
I like that. And Mark's not here, but a question came in. It says, if interest rates appear rising, very similar to what we asked you, how will this affect your fund, positively or negatively? So I think I can answer that because the Pacific Private Money Fund does short-term bridge loans, basically. And so it shouldn't affect it too much because as interest rates go up, the principal's staying the same. And as soon as those loans are paid back, then the money that comes in will go out into new loans, and those loans will be at higher interest rates. So in theory, it should kind of float a little bit, but it's not an exact situation because the quote hard money dominion, as they say, is a little different than just the regular old mortgage rates. It's more of a supply and demand of money. So like there's a price, not price, but I'm sorry, an interest rate constriction in California because there's just a lot of money here. And so the interest rates in California are lower than if we were in, let's say, Arizona, where there's not as much money. So a deal might look as good here as there, but California's more conservative and it has more money. And so the interest rate is more closer to, let's say, 9% for hard money instead of 13 or 11%.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's compression, as they call it. Yield compression is the word. So effectively, the fund itself shouldn't be affected too much. I mean, there shouldn't be a loss of principal, which to me is the most important thing. Don't lose money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because from an exchange standpoint, we're often dealing with clients who are all cash buyers. So regardless of what the rates do, there's still some stability in the exchange market for us.
Yeah, they're more just interested in the opportunity cost of if interest rates go up, could they have invested their money differently?
Yeah.
That's really
Well, and if it does affect prices, then the price of what they're selling is going to be less.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of it, hopefully the price of what they're buying is going to be less too. So
yeah,
hard to know.
Exactly. But it's interesting because a lot of people, when they look at the fund, they think it's like a bond. And if you have a long-term bond, interest rates go up, the price drops. But this isn't like that because it's very, very short term. It doesn't trade like a stock. So
yeah,
you put 100,000 in, the 100,000 stays the same. You just get this distribution every month, which that fluctuates a little bit. So it's been fluctuating between 7.6% and I think 1 month it hit almost 9% because there was a little profit. They took back a property in foreclosure. There was one foreclosure. And just like they've always talked about, in theory, if they do good underwriting, if you foreclose on a property, you should make money, and that's what happened.
yeah.
So they made a small, profit, 50,000, which is small compared
Profit
to
is profit.
exactly. They didn't lose
It's not
money.
a loss.
It's not a loss, exactly. So again, for more information on the Pacific Private Money Fund, call 415-883-2150, and they came out with a privatemoneyloans.com website because, excuse me, in order to qualify for the fund, you have to be an accredited investor, which is a net worth of $1 million exclusive of your home, or 200,000 of income if you're single, 300,000 if you're married. Well, some people don't qualify for that, but they like the idea of investing in the mortgages, so they came out with this privatemoneyloans.com where people who are unaccredited can just buy loans, and the yields are a little lower, so that could be 8%. They might be more in the 7% range, but there's still decent loans. What's the interest rates paying at the bank right now? Still around 1% if you're lucky.
Not enough.
Yeah,
Not enough?
I know. I don't even look. Who cares? I mean, what's the difference between like 0.8 or 1 or
Yeah, in fact, I told my bank to stop paying me interest on the checking account because it was ruining my bookkeeping. I earned 8 cents this month.
Yeah.
I earned 12 cents a month, and then they want to charge me for. I said, no, just don't pay me anything.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Exactly.
Okay, tell you what, we're going to go to our last trivia question and our commercial break here. So, do you guys remember Monopoly?
Yeah.
Let's see how well you know Monopoly.
Oh, yeah.
This is a Monopoly question. Along with Indiana Avenue and Illinois Avenue, what is the third red property on a monopoly board?
Wait, what is it, India? Gotcha. We'll see about that.
We'll
Shall we
see
go
about
there?
that. Yeah,
Indiana
get you
and
my-
Exactly.
Okay, along with Indiana Avenue and Illinois Avenue, what is the third red property on a monopoly board? All right, audience out there, go to your closet, take out the old monopoly board and look at it. All right, call 888-912-1190. If you're the first caller with the correct answer, you're going to win that tanning certificate. All right, don't touch that dial. The best of investing. We'll be right back with some closing comments.
It's Indiana and into Illinois.
Yes, so you have to tell me what the last one is.
I want to say Connecticut, but I think that was one of the yellow ones.
No, Connecticut was a blue one, I think.
Was it blue?
Yeah, it was a light blue. It was one of the early ones. Oops. It's one of the early ones.
Yes. Brain hurts, sorry.
I'm gonna go with Kentucky.
How about Arkansas?
It was Arkansas. Is that even a state?
No, exactly.
Let's see here.
I don't know. That was fast. We're done? No, we have.
No, we have one more small second. It's a small one.
Okay. How's the market doing kind of thing? Or what? Yeah, I mean, the whole story is inventory. 7 out of the, I can talk about a little bit about
Okay.
like in the Bay Area, 7 in 10 Bay Area homes sold for more than asking price last year.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And at an average of 12% over asking versus 8% in the last 2 years.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah,
something to talk
And
about.
I mean, it just really doesn't feel like it sometimes because it just keeps changing. Anyway.
Okay. You just have to be careful. Like,
Yeah.
you're like this. Here. Okay, ready? Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Patty Cohen, and our special guest, Shanae Mabry. Thank you for joining us in the studio. Here's our third and last trivia question. Along with Indiana Avenue and Illinois Avenue, what is the third red property on a monopoly board? Right. Answer?
I'm going with Kentucky.
You are correct.
Oh my
All
God,
right.
how did
That
you
was
know
very
that?
good.
That's
How did you
shocking.
remember that?
You know, I played a lot of Monopoly as a kid.
That's shocking that you
Very good.
Wow.
I thought that was kind of hard. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
everyone
hard.
remembers Boardwalk and Park Place and all that. Okay. Patty, you got some stats for us.
Well, it's Pete. The big question all the time is like, what's going on in the real estate market? Are we at the peak? And it's 70 months of appreciation.
Yep.
So am I gonna? As buyers are like, am I buying at the peak? Sellers are like, is it a good time to sell? What's really amazing to me, because I'm in the thick of it every day, it kind of feels like it's sort of softening a little bit. Yet 7 in 10. Buyer demand is not abating amid market challenges. 7 in 10 Bay Area properties sold over asking last year for an average of 12% over asking.
Wow.
That's a strong market.
Yeah, and then in 2015 and 16, it was 8%. So it's even better than those years, which were crazy years. And we're back to a lot of it has to do with low inventory. If people are going to be bidding it up if there's not enough buyers. I mean, not enough property. And we've been talking about that for 6 years now. Like low inventory, lower than ever right now.
It's a great time to sell.
It's always a good time to sell in the Bay Area. Yeah, it's always a good time to sell. Yeah.
And it's always a good time to buy, too.
Yeah, I know. Really? I think so.
Yeah. All right. Today, any last comments before we cut out here today?
Well, I just want to be a resource to not just you, but your listeners as well. So should you have any questions regarding a 1031 exchange, certainly don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email. Again, my phone number is 888-677-1031. And my email address is my first initial and my last name. And that's S like Sam, M like Mary, A like Apple, like boy, R like Roger, I like India, E like Edward.
Good.
At Orexco, that's OREX like X-ray, CO 1031.com.
Orexo1031.com. And we didn't get into the costs at all. I mean, how much does it cost to hire, because you have to have an intermediary.
You do have to have an intermediary, whether you're buying and selling all on the same day with the same title company, you still need to have an intermediary. Absent of a 1031 qualified intermediary, you're deemed as having control over the funds and it is still taxable to you. So our fees are pretty competitive with the rates for a 1031 exchange. If someone is looking to sell one property and buy one property, they're looking at paying about $1,100 for the exchange plus some nominal wire fees.
That's really good.
That's
cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty cheap.
I know. I think
So
title
So
insurance
is it not? It's not based on the.
purchase price.
Yeah, exactly. It's not based on.
No, we don't actually charge on a scale.
Okay, because all you're doing is really. I won't say all you're doing, but you're not guaranteeing insurance on.
Correct.
So you're just facilitating the.
We're
I
facilitating
gotcha.
the exchange, preparing all of the legal documentation, although it's a lot more involved. You know, we still are reviewing the contracts,
Sure.
the closing statements and prelims from the title company. So there's a lot more involved in our part in that we do want to make sure that our clients are going to be successful with the exchange. So, you know, we do a lot of hand holding.
It's still very reasonable
It's
though.
a bargain.
It really is.
And in other states where they don't have title companies and they have attorneys, and if you had an attorney do the exchange
It's a few thousand.
4 times. Yeah. It's just what title
Yeah.
is so
It
cheap.
is. What's your geographic area?
So I'm based in Marin County and I manage the Pacific Northwest Division
Oh, okay.
of Older Public Exchange. So I cover everything north of San Francisco, Washington, Oregon, Utah,
Oh, right.
and Montana.
Oh, wow.
Wyoming.
Okay, so you do cover more than just California.
I
Or just,
do.
Okay,
Wow.
great. And Patty, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us yet again.
Thank you. I love it.
Okay, we got to cut out today. Here's our thoughts for the day. It's not what I have in my life, but who I have in my life that counts.
I like
that. Okay. And life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Another good one. Tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long.
Woohoo! That was a great one.
Great.
That's good.
I think we got a lot of good
A
stuff.
lot of
in
good
there.
stuff,
I
yeah.
really do. Okay, good.